was on interrogation that the suspect, who lives at Agbule Alakoye area of Igbora in Oyo State, confessed that what she threw into the river was the corpse of her 1-month-old baby, who she killed out of frustration. She confessed further that the person who was responsible for the pregnancy of the baby rejected her and the baby, and since she has no means of taking care of the child, she decided to kill and throw her into the river. Now, preliminary investigation revealed that the suspect had given birth to 6 other children for 3 different men before getting pregnant for one man simply identified as Hakim, who refused to accept paternity of the child. The DPO later engaged the services of local divers who helped in recovering the corpse of the baby, and it has been deposited at the General Hospital mortuary. Now, the Commissioner of Police has ordered the immediate transfer of the suspect to the homicide section of the State Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department for further investigation and prosecution. So now there are different points to be gotten from this story. She had this baby. The baby is just 1 month old. She already has 6 other children, and she feels incapable of being able to incapable of catering for this baby, and for some very twisted reason, she decided to kill the baby. Now, of course, if you were listening to me earlier, I posed the question, one that I've heard often enough, to believe that quite a number of people hold that view. Should poor people, and I use the word poor loosely, should poor people, the argument that poor people shouldn't have children, would you agree with that based on stories such as these and others? I mean, earlier, Barrister was telling us about a case which he has today, a man who's divorced his wife. Unfortunately, before the divorce, they had 3 children. Now, the woman is asking for some money to be able to take care of these 3 children, whom, of course, he has left to her. And now the man is saying that he doesn't have enough money in the amounts that the woman is asking, and hence he cannot support the children's upkeep. So it seems as if people just go ahead, have children, and then they just, wash their hands off of the responsibility that comes with having children. So when you consider that, is it easier to understand the argument behind the statement, poor people shouldn't have children? And I have joining me this morning Dr. Gbemisola Daramola. She is the principal medical officer, University Health Service with the University of Ibadan, and she's been so kind to talk to us on short notice this morning. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Very nice to have you join us on the show today. Thank you so much for accepting to speak on such short notice.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
You complained earlier about the audio. Is it better? Can you hear me clearly now?
It's still low.
It is still low.
But I can hear you. I can't hear you, but it's low.
Okay. It's on the highest volume on this end, so maybe that's a network problem. But let's get to the conversation. I mean, the very obvious question I'm going to ask you is, what's your take on this argument that poor people shouldn't have children, especially when it becomes evidently obvious that they are incapable of taking care of the children?
Well, I think my take on it is that I wouldn't say they should not have children, but they should have just the number they can care for, even if it's just a child. Because the truth is that a time will come, particularly for a woman, when it will not be easy to get pregnant again. And even physically taking care of the children with age, those things are not easy. So the same way, we can't say they shouldn't have children, but they should just have the number they can afford to care for. a lot of people, I'm sure we all know one or two people that came from very, very humble backgrounds, but the story changed as the years went by. So if they had resolved not to have children at the beginning, and things changed later, and at that time it was too late, particularly for the woman to get ready to conceive, then what happened?
Okay.
Well, of course, we have the options of adoption and things,
but I mean, at the end of the day, people want to have their own children, and especially in this climate, people are not excited about the prospect of adopting. Yeah.
Yes. The average woman wants to have our own child. Even the man wants to have his own child. So even if it's just a child, they should have a child.
But we're saying that people are not that intentional. And I say that because of the rampant cases of irresponsibility on the part of parents, as we're saying. So a couple, perhaps due to no fault of theirs, are not financially capable. And yet you see them have 2, 3, sometimes even 7 children, and you can see an obvious struggle. I mean, take the case of this woman that I read the story, for instance. She has 6 other children, and it's a conscious, I feel like, for people like this, in her case now, we can't argue that she's thinking, there would be a time when I wouldn't be able to have children. She already has 6, and we know that the process of making a baby is not one that just happens. You're conscious. You know that if I do this, chances are that I could get pregnant and have a baby. So it is obvious what leads. It's not something that just happens by miracle or by chance, or it's, you're not sure. It could happen, it could not happen. So for people like this who obviously, I don't even know how to put it, but I think it takes a whole level of inhumanity to be pregnant, carry that pregnancy for 9 months, and give birth to that baby, and then decide to kill the baby because you think you don't have the means.
Can I come in here?
Please. Yes.
Okay. I think it is highly irresponsible for anyone to bring a child into this world and not care for that child, not have a plan for that child. If you are reasonable enough to decide to marry a man or a woman, to get married or cohabit, and you start having sexual intercourse,
yes,
you should know that something will come from this.
Absolutely.
So I think it is highly irresponsible for anybody to have a child and not be. We've had people say, "Oh, my wife suddenly delivered," and I'm wondering, 9 months was not noticed. How then do you say it's a sudden delivery? But the truth is that some of these things have a cultural background. In this part of in the southwest, and specifically I think in Ibadan,
yes,
we see a lot amongst the low economic ladder. We see people say things like "oko aro, oko osan," and so you expect an "oko ale." So
what does that mean? Please translate.
Okay, "oko aro" is it's like literally saying my husband in the morning. That's like the first husband, earlier part of life, younger part of life.
Okay.
Then "oko osan" is like mid-age husband or something.
Okay.
So this woman maybe gets married at the age of between 18 and 22, has like 3-4 children for a man. And then by the time she's 35, they go their separate ways. She meets another man, gets married to him. And she feels a responsibility to have children for him too. So those 4 children have been abandoned with their father or something, or with her mother, and she's with a new husband, and she's ready to have another 2, 3 for him. Especially if this man had another wife. She's competing with the wife. So if he had 3, she wants to have 4 or something, you know. So so that's why I say there's some cultural undertone.
Yes.
So the thing is, we also need, our people also need to be educated and understand that, I mean, it's the children that suffer.
Absolutely.
The children suffer at the end of the day, and as the society eventually suffers for it, because these children are not adequately brought up. They end up on the street, they end up in crime, and all sorts, and what we are seeing around us today. That's how it all started, because these children just grow wild. Nobody's taking care of them.
You make a very strong point when you say there's the cultural factor, because I come from the eastern part of the country, and there's this importance that seems to be placed on male children. So there are times when you see like a woman, a couple who are struggling. They have the first child, it's a girl. They have a second child, is a girl. They have a third child, it's a girl, and they keep going regardless of the number and the fact that perhaps they can't take care of all these children until they get a boy. And sometimes you see them go maybe after 4 girls, you then have the 5th and it's a boy. Some people don't even get that lucky. Sometimes you see like 6 girls, and then a boy. Some people never even get lucky. They have 8. And it's all girls, So do you think that we should start? Is the solution education, or does it go beyond that?
Education definitely is important, especially education of the woman, education of the girl child, because so many of these things lie with the woman. If the woman decides, if a woman can understand why she should care for every child, and she should not just keep giving birth to children. I mean, majority of taking family planning decisions, it's supposed to be taken jointly. But most of the time, what has to be done is with the woman.
I kind of find that hard to believe, because it seems like usually it's the men that are putting the pressure on the woman. Like, I want a boy child. You must give me a boy, as if it's the woman who determines the sex of the baby. So do you actually believe that it is the woman who can turn these things around?
No, talking about I was referring specifically to the issue of education.
Oh, okay, like educating the children.
Yes, educating the children and educating a woman.
Okay.
Because sometimes the women, yes, are victims of the man's quest for a male child.
Absolutely.
Or children. But if a woman is educated, if a woman is financially independent too, she could take some decisions on her own.
Okay.
She could also say, no, I'm not going this route with you anymore, because this is where we will end. But because many times they are financially and otherwise completely dependent.
Yes.
They just have to go along with him. They just have to go along with the man, and even it's even at a risk to the woman's life.
True.
Many of these women, by the time the woman is having the 4th, 5th child, we're talking. We call them we call them multigravidas. For the woman, it's no longer healthy. It's no longer safe as she grows older. But because the man wants another child, the man wants a male child, she keeps going on. She keeps going on.
Yeah.
And if he finds another male child somewhere, he's going to abandon. He might even abandon her, and she's left to take care with the 6, 7, or 8 girls
alone. Absolutely.
So women need to be also educated, and of course, the men generally need to be educated on the fact that it is important that you take care. You have only the children you can cater for. you can take care of. They don't have to go to the best schools. They don't have to go to have the best of anything, but give them a life. Give them a life. Let them have food to eat. Let them have clothes to wear. Let them have a place to lay their head. But sometimes even these basic necessities of life, some homes cannot provide, and they keep having children.
Very, very well said. I mean, I'm wondering, do you think government has a role to play here? Do you think legislation can play a major part here? Maybe like we saw in China a few years ago when it was a rule for couples to have just a child or two, because they were trying to control their population. Is this something you see as being able to take care of this problem?
Definitely, some legislation is needed. The way our population has been increasing over the years, we must do something. Government urgently needs to do something, because our land space has not increased. Our resources have not increased. So we keep it growing in number, and so all these things keep dwindling. So if we do not put legislation in place,
yes,
it's going to boomerang very soon.
And
so it may not necessarily be the way China did it.
Yes,
but we must look at what will work for us.
Yeah.
And put some things in place.
We have to find like a homegrown solution that suits the Nigerian situation, and caters to the problem. But I feel like it's going to be very difficult. We know how attached to our culture and especially religion, and then when these topics like this come on, there are objections, most times based on religion or culture, and we just don't seem to find, something that works for everybody across board. But it would be really heartwarming to see, as you've said, some sort of legislation that can take care of this problem within our own Nigerian country.
I remember many years ago, I think it was during the Ibrahim Babangida regime, that there was a rule of 1 woman, 4 children, maximum 4 children. But we know that some people, so if a man has 4 wives, that means you can have 16 children. But the thing is, we will need to bring all stakeholders on board. All stakeholders, the religious leaders, the obas, the kings, the traditional rulers. We will need to all stakeholders to come on board, to sit down, to look at the situation, to understand the situation and arrive at a legislation. It's not something that government alone can do. It's everybody. The stakeholders, they must be invited. They must have a say, so that it's not just government decision. We're in a democratic government, so everybody has a voice. Everybody's opinion is heard, and decisions are taken.
All right, Doctor, let's look at punishment for people caught in things like this. For instance, in this story that I related, the CP has ordered that the case be transferred to the homicide section. So apparently it's going to be treated as any homicide case. But there are people who have appealed, to conscience, saying it's not the woman's fault now. She was frustrated. She doesn't have the money. They shouldn't just blame the woman. How about the husband who washed his hands off of her? Do you think cases like this should be prosecuted in the same way that any other murder case should be? Or should there be like some form of pardon or mercy granted because of the financial situations, as these people claim, for being the reason behind their decisions?
I don't want to be a judge in this case, but just talking from the top of my head, yes. I would say no, she should be punished.
Okay.
Because we have seen mothers with nothing, struggle to take care of children, and they raised, and at the end of the day, they raised great men and women. They struggled. They did it everything to raise their children, and today they are happy for it. And besides, I know that there are also other arrangements by different organizations. No, not like this one I want to refer to. There's the criminal one, but I know that sometimes I knew there was I know there's a denomination that young girls, particularly who get pregnant, who are not able to take care of the children, they actually take care of these ladies while they are pregnant, and they offer, and the ladies voluntarily offer the children for adoption, not the ones that get
Baby
young
factories.
girls pregnant and sell the children. So they offer the children for adoption to couples who otherwise can't have children for medical reasons or what, they offer them for adoption. So there are, if this woman who could not take care of this child went through the period of pregnancy, if during that time she had sought help to say, I cannot take care of this child, God, who can help me? Find out. Even come to your own radio station. That I'm pregnant, but I can't take care of this child. I can't bear to see the child suffer. I can't kill the child, but I can't take care of this child. I'm sure help would have come.
Nice.
Rather than take the life of the child.
Okay. All right. You've said quite a lot. She had options. She just decided this unfortunate one that ended in the death of her baby. And it's really sad because, honestly, this is not the first time I'm seeing such a headline, but this particular one struck me. And I don't know why. I think we really should be having conversations around things like this. Adults need to take more responsibility at the end of the day, for the decisions that they make. And children should not have to bear the consequence of their lack of thought or lack of being intentional in decision making.
Yes, I agree with you.
All right. I think we have to leave it here, Doctor. Thank you so much. I want to give time for callers to contribute on this. But Dr. Gbemisola Daramola, thank you. She's the Principal Medical Officer, University Health Service, University of Ibadan. Thank you so much, Ma. I appreciate this. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. So that's it. You have heard from my guest. It is time for us to hear from you. I have just about, 6 minutes to do this, so I'm going to try to do it as quickly as possible. The lines are open: 0809 155 1055 or 07069 49 3000. We also have 0805 699 8678. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. I'm very nice to work.
Your line isn't particular. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank God for the visitor. I want to contribute into the.
Can we have your name, sir?
Oh, my name is Pastor Dr. Piki.
All right, Pastor, great. Okay, it's good to have a pastor calling on this. Please go ahead. Tell us what you think.
Now, my contribution is that woman should go with punished, which is true and fact. But in another way, the government should look into it that woman should not be punished beyond the level that she could not be able to come back and take care of the remaining children. Because in this country, nobody will take care of that children for her.
Okay.
We know that one sure. Except the government has to prepare avenue of taking care of the children. Allow that judgment should be tended with mercy, so that judgment will not so much that she could not be able to come and take care of the remaining children. You're welcome.
Okay, Pastor, thank you. The pastor is saying even though she should be punished, there should be consideration for the children that she already has, because if she's sent to jail permanently, then who takes care of the other 6 children? But should that really be government's concern? Hello.
Hello, good morning, Chacha.
Good morning, Reverend Koye.
You see, when it comes to raising children, many couples marry without appropriate understanding. And this is where religious institutions should be helpful. But that is not the case. Husband and wife ought to be taught their marital roles. They ought to let them know that the sex of the child is determined by the man. The number of children should be determined by couple before marriage, not after.
Totally.
There shouldn't be anything like accidental pregnancy. Couples should see raising children as their responsibility. Not that somebody will be sweating and somebody will be buying necklaces. Couples should spend time with their children to inculcate right virtue and character into them, not breeding criminals who are the parents of kidnappers, who are the parents of bandits. And sex is not only for procreation. Family planning should be embraced.
Absolutely.
All these are good knowledge that should be impacted onto couples that are married to prepare them for the journey ahead.
Okay.
You know why we have so much rates of divorces and separation? It's because these people marrying do not know what they are entering into. An average man or woman will just say, I am a graduate, I've got a job, the next thing is marriage, and they jump into it.
Absolutely.
It ought not to be. In our church, we have what we call marriage academy. In this marriage academy, anybody from 18 years above is to be in that class on a monthly basis where they are groomed and prepared. Every church should have that marriage academy.
All right,
I'm appealing to ministers of God. Let us save our marital lives.
Okay.
Especially in this part of the world.
Thank
where
you.
divorce has now become one.
Come on. Yeah.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Koya. I mean, you've said it very nicely. People need to know exactly what they're going into while they're going into it. You know, children should not have to bear the consequence of a lack of decision or lack of intentional decision making on the part of the adults. Good morning.
Doctor.
Yes.
Hello, doctor. Good morning.
Sounds like Dr. Mark?
Can you hear me? Yeah, this is Dr. Mark. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dr. Mark, yes. Good.
Yeah, I have a different view, and I want you to listen to my view.
Okay.
I am particularly concerned about those who are getting married when they are not prepared for it. You see, this is one of the reasons why we have children giving birth to, and there's no adequate preparation to take care of them. See, no matter how poor you are,
Okay.
you need to first of all understand that bringing children to the world is a responsibility. You have to take care of them. This idea of some young people, some young girls, they have them around. They believe that to secure their future is by marrying a man. It's wrong. That it is only the moment I get married, then the man take over the whole responsibility about my life, the whole responsibility about my children. That is part of the reason why you are having that woman who wants to throw away that child. She made a very big mistake. She married the first person.
No, we're not sure she was actually married to these men. It wasn't stated that explicitly.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. She's agreeing to be having sex with them to the level of getting pregnant with them.
Yes.
It just wants to secure her future through them. So that they will, at least she's pregnant for them, so they'll be giving her money to take care of the children.
Apparently that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Because you will see men taking advantage of her continuously like that. The first thing she should do is to secure a future for herself first. Have something doing. Then a man will come into your life. In my church, before you can marry, the advice is that you must have something doing. Both the male and the female.
Yes. All right.
There is something you are doing that is bringing income for you. You just don't take decision to go to bed with somebody. The consequences will always be there.
Actually.
You will be pregnant, and then you have an issue.
All right, doctor.
The reason why we have a bad society today is because we have children giving birth to not cared for. And so the children will have to do anything to survive.
All right, doctor.
Criminality, bandits, and all that.
We're out of time.
The way to go is to just understand. Secure your future before agreeing to settle with a man.
Okay.
That's the way to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Doctor. And the same goes for all our callers this morning. Totally appreciate it. I mean, you've said it all. There's hardly anything I can say to top all of what you've said. Before you get into things like this, determine for yourself that you're capable of doing it. I mean, my guest said it is not fair to say poor people shouldn't have children. I believe so. It isn't, but you have the presence of mind to determine that you can actually take care of the children that you're bringing into the world. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. We appreciate this, and happy new month to you again. Tomorrow is Friday, so Ronnie will be here. And hopefully it's going to be an amazing time as well. My name is Charity Jerome. Enjoy your first day of April and keep it locked on Splash 105.5.
We've got the city on lockdown.
Got my own city that I hold down.
We are Splash 105.